All right. To start off this first question here, we've got to calculate the area and the perimeter of the following shape. You can see you've got the size of your shape.
Do you want two-digit decimals or like more?
So for this question here, you can round it off to 2 decimal places. All right. We can see our length is 0.86 and we can see our width is 0.75. So to find the area, don't forget you got to multiply, and to find the perimeter, you got to add it all up. All right, I'm just going to clear the screen a little bit there. Type both your answers for, remember, you're calculating area and perimeter. Don't forget to calculate both, right? Okay, as you can see, the area came through from Jaden. All right. Press pause, try it. All right. So the first thing that I want to go through is the following. I've got to find the area, right? So if I'm going to find the area, I'm going to first work it out as a decimal. So let's go ahead and take 0.75 and multiply. Length times breadth gives you area, so length times width gives you area. So let's multiply those two. Now let's take 0.75 and we multiply it by 0.86. Remember, you can multiply by 100 and multiply this by 100, which means that you're actually multiplying by a total of 10,000. So when you work it out, you can divide your answer by 10,000 as well. I go 75 multiplied by 86. I now work this out. 5 times 6 gets me 30. 6 times 7 is 42 plus 3 is 45. Then I put a 0. 8 times 5 is 40. So I put a 0, carry a 4. 8 times 7 is 56 plus 6. 56 plus 4 is 60. This comes to 6450, right? 75 multiplied by 86 is going to be 6450. Now, because I multiplied it by 100 and I moved the decimal 2 spaces to the right for each of these, I have to move it 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the left. So if the decimal is over here, my final answer is going to be by taking 6450 and dividing it by 10,000. And when I divide it by 10,000, I move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. It goes in front of that, and you end up with 0.6450. And we can leave that out to 0.645. But we're rounding to 2 decimal places. So when I round it to 2 decimal places, it comes to 0.65 because that is greater than or equal to 5. So the 4 goes up by 1 to 5. So 0.65, final answer for the area as a decimal, okay? All right. Now remember, if we have to write it as a fraction, all we got to do is just put 65 over 100 and then simplify it. So if I'm going to write it as a fraction, this is A as a decimal. Now I'm going to write it B as a fraction. So the answer would be 65 over 100. Let's divide 65 by 5. 5 goes into 6 once, remainder 3. 5 goes into 35 7 times, so 17. 5 goes into 100 20 times, and that's my fraction. I've now calculated the area as a simplified fraction and as a decimal. Okay. Any questions there? You guys good? I'll give you a second to write it down if you need to, and then we'll go through the perimeter. Alrighty, so let's go through the perimeter now. We need to calculate the perimeter as a decimal and the perimeter as a fraction. Now remember, perimeter is the sum of all the sides. And if you have a rectangle, if this is 0.86, then this side is also going to be 0.86. And if this is 0.75, then this side is also going to be 0.75. So let's add them up. 0.86 plus 0.86 plus 0.75 plus 0.75. And I can actually put this in a straight line and add it up. So I'm going to put them one below each other and add it up. Let's start with the units. 6 plus 6 is 12 plus 5 is 17. 17 plus 5 is 22. 2 plus 8 is 10 plus 8 is 18 plus 7. 18 plus 7 is 20. 18 plus 7 is 25. 25 plus 7 is 32. Carry the 3 and you end up with 3.22. All right, let me just double check that. So 0.86 plus 0.86 plus 0.75 plus 0.75 comes to 3.22. So that's going to be my perimeter, 3.22. I want to write this as a fraction now. So what do? I've got to put this number over 100. So as a fraction, I would take 3.22, multiplied by 100 and then put it over. How would I write this as a fraction actually? I can break this up into a whole number, 3, right? And I can also take out the 22, which will become 22 over 100. So from this here, I got 3 and 22 over 100. That's 3.22. But this is not in its most simplified form. So I have to write it as 3 and 11 over 50. If I wrote it as an improper fraction, 3 times 50 is 150. 150 plus 11 is 161 divided by 50. And that's going to be the answer.
Excuse me, can I go to the toilet?
Yeah, no problem. All right, and that's the answer for the perimeter. Okay, as a decimal and as a fraction. As a decimal, you can see it's 2 decimal places, and as a fraction, it's 161 over 50 or 3 and 11 over 50 in its simplified form. We must remember to always simplify our answers whenever we calculate them from there. Okay, we're going to do a quick multiplication and division of fractions recap. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is quickly we're going to recap multiplication and division. Try this question here. The first question here, I give you 2 and 4 over 9, and I want to multiply it by 7 over 6. And in question 2, I got 3 and a quarter, and I want to divide it by 5 and 4/5. Okay, write your answer as a mixed number. In other words, a whole number in a fraction. Okay, write your answer as mixed fractions. Okay, whole number. Try that question over there. Press pause and then try it. Okay, let's go through them. So the first thing I'm going to do here is, remember, answer has to be in mixed fractions. So question 1, what I want to do now is convert this number into a mixed number. Now, can you remember how to do that? Remember, take the big number, multiply it by the bottom number, multiply it, and then after you've multiplied it by the bottom number, add that answer to 4. So 2 times 9 is 18, and 18 plus 4 is 22. So 22 over 9, that's this entire fraction. Now we can multiply this over 6, and remember, when we multiply, we simply take the top 2 numbers, multiply them together. We take the bottom 2 numbers and multiply them together. Now 22 times 7, it's good to have a piece of paper on the side that you can use to just calculate quickly. 22 times 7, let's calculate that on this left hand side here. 2 times 7 is 14. Write the 4, carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15. So that comes to 154. So 154 at the top. And then at the bottom, I got 9 times 6. 9 times 6 is 54. I can also simplify this by dividing the top and the bottom by 2. And I could just keep dividing by 2 or any number that I can. So let's try and divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. That'll become 75 plus 2, which is 77. So it'll be 77. And this will be 27. Okay, so 77 over 27 is going to be the simplified form of that. Now, how do you write this as a mixed number? How would you write this as a mixed number? Okay, as a mixed number, you
Can
got,
you just
yeah,
can you take away like using like 77 take away 27?
that's right. You're gonna go 77 minus 27. You're gonna get 0 there and 5. It's 50, right? Then you're gonna minus 27 again, and you're gonna be left with 23. So how many 27s can fit inside 77?
2.
2. So we put a big whole number 2, and the remainder is 23 out of 27. And now my answer is as a mixed fraction. Okay. Let's go to the next one now. Do you know what to do when you divide? Let's first change this though. 3 times 4 plus 1 is 12 plus 1, which is 13 over 4. And this is dividing 5 times 5 is 25. And 25 plus 4 is 29. So 29, 5 plus 5 is 25. 25 plus 4 is 29. So 29 over 5. Now we change this into multiply. What do we do to this fraction on the right hand side if I change this into multiply? Does anyone know?
Reverse.
We reverse. And what's the special word called when you reverse?
Turn backwards.
Yes. Inverting, reversing.
Like 3 and 4. You reverse it into 4 and 3.
That's right. The word is called reciprocal. All right, reciprocal. All right, anyway, invert it, and you get 5 over 29. Now let's multiply like we would normally. And on the side here, what I'm going to do is quickly calculate it. I'm going to go 13 times 5. That's 15. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So 65 in the numerator. And then 4 times 29 is 36. Carry the 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So that's 116. And that looks like a proper fraction. So there's no need to put it in a mixed fraction. And that's my final answer for that one there. Any questions there? You guys good there? All right. Okay, so a little bit of additions and subtraction of fractions. What is the special thing about addition and subtraction that you need before you add or subtract a fraction? What do you need to do? So for example, if I've got 3 over 4 plus 5 over 6 and 7 over 9 minus 1 over 3, what's the first thing I need to do? It's called LCD. What does LCD mean?
Lowest common denominator. Denominator.
Lowest common denominator. That's right.
Denominator.
All right, the lowest common denominator is,
Is 4.
yeah. So how do we find the lowest common denominator between 4 and 6? Or we could just find, we could use a common denominator method as well. Okay. The quickest way to find these fractions is to multiply those two, then multiply those two, then multiply those two. Yeah? All right, so let's go ahead and let's see if we did this. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 3 is 18. And 4 times 5 is 20. Let me go through it again. So what was the first thing I did there? 4 times 6, right? And then 6 times 3, which is 18.
18. And
Good.
then 4 times 5 is 20.
And then 4 times 5 is 20. Then we add the top, which is going to get to 38 over 24. We then simplify it by dividing by 2 first. If we can divide by 4. Let's start with 2. And that's over 12. And then we write our answer as a mixed number. 19 minus 12 is 7. And we put that number on top. And that's my answer over there. Let's do the same thing with the next one. 9 times 3 is 27. 3 times 7 is 21. 9 times 1 is 9. 21 minus 9 is, what's 21 minus 9? 12, right? The final answer is 12 over 27. Can I simplify that answer?
Yes. Actually, yes, I can.
Yeah, and what
You can
number?
divide by 3.
I can divide it by 3. So let's divide it by 3. So we can get it in its simplest form. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 27 divided by 3 is 9. Okay, I'm now going to write down 2 questions. And I want you to try and see if you can do this. Okay, so here we go. 4 over 7 plus 9 over 8. And then 11 over 12 minus 3 over 4. Okay, I'm going to call this question 3b and question 4b. Try those. Press pause, try it. Let's go through it now. All right, so over here we've got 7 times 8, which is 56. 8 times 4 is 32. 7 times 9 is 63. And this becomes 3 plus 6 is 9. 2 plus 3 is 5. So 95 over 56. Okay. Can we divide 95 divided by 56? Can we divide or simplify it in any way further? No. So then we know that's our final answer. All right, let's look at the next one. 12 times 4 is 48. And then 4 times 11 is 44. 12 times 3 is 36. Minusing those two gets you 44 minus 36 is that 8 over 48, right? Because 36 plus 8 is 44. And now I can divide the top and the bottom by 8. That comes to 1 over 6. Final answer for question 4b, 1 over 6. Okay. Any questions there? You guys good there? Okay. By keeping to the concept of fractions, what I want to do now is give you a question that involves a little bit more addition and subtraction combined. So 2.5, I want to minus 1 1/3, but I also want to plus 4 1/4. Try it. All right, so the first thing for this one here is we're going to convert each of these. What's 2 times 2? 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So this is going to be 5 over 2. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So this is 4 over 3. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 plus 1 is 17 over 4. Now, my common denominator, I have to now think about it very carefully, right? What number can 2, 3, and 4 divide into? If I look at my denominators, 2, 3, and 4, what can they divide into? Can they divide into 4?
None.
If I go 4, it'll work out there. Can 4 divide by 3? No. Can 4 divide by 4? No. So 4 definitely can't work. What about 8? No. Definitely can divide by 2, but not the others. What about 6? 6 can divide by 2. 6 can divide by 3. Can 6 divide by 4 though? No. What number can divide by all of them? Or have them divided into? What number can all of them divide into? What about 12? What about 12? 12 will work. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So my common denominator here is going to be 12. I'm going to change each of these fractions into 12. I'm going to multiply this to get to 12 by 6. So I multiply the top by 6. I'm going to multiply this by 4 to get to 12. So I multiply the top by 4. I'm going to multiply this by 3 to get to 12. So I'm going to multiply the top by 3. This is going to come to 30. This is going to come to 16. And this is going to come to 51. And now that I have a common denominator of 12, I can add the top numbers. So let's add the top numbers quickly over here. 30, 16, 51. When I add it up, that becomes 7. That's 4 plus 5, which is 9. It'll come to 97 over 12. And I've got to write it as a mixed number. So I need to know my 12 times tables. And I know 12 times 8 equals 96. So it's going to go 8 times, remainder 1 over 12. Like that. Okay? 8, remainder 1 over 12. Final answer there. Alright, so once you click on the link, you will get to this page over here, which is mixed numbers. Give it a go and try it. Press pause, try a few questions, and then press play. Okay guys, here we go. So from here, which of these questions would you like me to go through? There are 4 questions at the moment on the screen. Is there any one of those that you'd like me to work through with you? Question 2. All right, cool. Let's go through question number 2. So question 2, we have the following. It says, calculate the unknown length in this diagram. All right, so question 2 says, calculate the unknown length in this diagram, which is that amount over there. Now, remember, let's say this whole length wasn't this. Let's say this whole length was 5, and let's say this whole length was 3. Then this answer will be 2, because 2 plus 3 is 5, right? And how would we get to that number? We would take 5 minus 3, right? We would take that number minus that number. And that's how we would get there. So let's go ahead and take that number and minus that number. Let's write it on this side here. So I got 5 and 9 over 10. And I want to minus 3 and 5 over 6. The first thing I'm going to do is try and simplify each of the fractions. If I can't, convert it then into a improper fraction. 5 times 10 plus 9, 59 over 10. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 plus 5 is 23 over 6. And then 60 is my common denominator. All right. I'm now going to multiply this by 6, and I'm going to multiply this by 10. And that's going to become 59 times 6. I can calculate that separately. So let's do a calculations on this side, right? So this is our rough work. I'm going to write here rough work, right? It's good to have a little bit of a rough work somewhere where you can just write and scribble and just try and work things out. So let's work out 59 times 6 quickly, right? 59 times 6. 6 times 9 is 54. Carry the 5. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 is 35. So 354, big number. 354 minus 23 times 10 is simply 230, right? Now we need to subtract those two. Let's write it on our rough work. 354 minus 230. 4 minus 0 is 4, 5 minus 3 is 2, and 3 minus 2 is 1, so that comes to 124 divided by 60. Now I know that 60 plus 60 comes to 120, and if I add 4, I got 124, right? So technically speaking, I can fit 60 2 times into 124, and the remainder will be 4 over 60. That is not my final answer because I can simplify this by dividing both sides by 4. And if I divide the fraction part, just the fraction part, by 4, I'll get 1 over 15. So 2 and 1/15 should be the answer. Let's check if it's correct. 2, if it's wrong, we will fix it. 1 over 15, and let's find out why. If it's wrong, it'll be good. Answer's correct. We're happy. Carry on. Okay? All right. That's how you would do these ones over here. Press pause and try another one, and then press play when you're done. Okay, let's go through question 1. I'm going to keep the right-hand side for my rough work. Question 1 says the distance from the flagpole to the park gate. Okay, so I got a flagpole and I got a gate. And the distance is 1.25 kilometers. The distance from the park gate to the lake, okay, and I got a lake. The distance from there to there is 1.25 kilometers. Huey walks from the flagpole to the park gate and then continues to the lake. How many kilometers does he walk altogether? So what do? We add that. So we take 1.25 and we plus 1.25. Now 1 is a whole number, so I could add it up. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then take a quarter plus a third, find a common denominator and add it up as well. But sometimes when we add these two fractions, we end up with another whole number, and then it gets a little bit confusing. So that can be possible, but I'm going to use the same method we used last time. 1 times 4 is 4 plus 1 is 5, 4. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4 over 3. And when I'm adding, remember, we multiply those two. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus comes to 31 over 12. 12 can go into 31 twice. It's 24, so the remainder is 7 over 12. And that'll be the final answer there. So let's type it in and check if it's correct. 2, 7, 12. All right, now I'm going to leave you to try one more question. Let me know when you're done. Another question, new question. All right, and then we can move on to a Kahoot. Okay.